I said it live from Black Pearl Studios. We are trying to do everything we can to bring that positive Democrat energy to you. Listen, if you're like me, you kind of had a slight rough week. If you watched any of the news, you've been paying attention. Iowa kind of disappointed us a little bit. Still scratching my head on what happened at that caucus. I have some friends that I like who are from Iowa, so I have been restraining myself in talking about their home state. You know who you are. What happened in Iowa, y'all? Get rid of the caucus. Y'all need it. Get rid of the caucus. Just do a straight primary and call it a day. I understand that New Hampshire has it in their constitution that they are the first primary. So guess what, Iowa? You go number 2, because that caucus mess is a hot mess. I'm still trying to figure it out. And how did you have an app that you didn't test with everybody? Or by the way, supply phones. Oh wait, my IT mind is kicking in. I would have tested, over tested it, given people phones, and made sure people who are not comfortable with apps, you know, mostly the seniors who are volunteering because they don't work all day, who are not as comfortable with technology. Actually, we're more comfortable with the technology. Yo, we gotta do better than that, Democrats, when it comes to, you know, this. That was the big boy. That was the big boy. We blew it. All I can do is hold my head in shame. They should have called me. I'm a business analyst. They should have called me. They should have called me. They should call Black Pearl Technologies. I would have helped them out. I'd have made sure they had it all tested. But it went south. And eventually we think we might actually have a Bernie Buttigieg kind of thing happening. We'll see what happens when that comes out. But that's just New Hampshire. That's just Iowa. We still got New Hampshire and the rest of the states. And, you know, it's still a long way to go. So don't get too caught up in what happened in Iowa. There's more. We got 49 others. 49 others. I also know you're probably a little down and out about what happened with the impeachment non-trial, because when you don't have evidence and you don't have witnesses, it's not really a trial. But I tried to warn y'all, didn't I? I tried to set you up so that the disappointment wouldn't be so bad. I tried to tell you that, you know, your boy Mitch, you know, as Joe Scarborough calls him, Moscow Mitch, wasn't about to do anything. Y'all knew that. Give it up for Senator Mitt Romney as the only Republican that understood the Constitution and understands what high crimes and misdemeanors really are, because the rest of them are chicken I wasn't going to say it really, but you know they were scared to death. I don't understand how anyone is afraid of a 70-plus-year-old orange person. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm not, what am I afraid of? Humans? I'm afraid of snakes, rodents, and insects. 70-plus-year-old orange people don't scare me. So I'm going to need y'all to send Mitt a thank you, even though he did the, 45% of Americans are takers nonsense and he still lost to Barack, but only one Republican. One Republican who lives by his own faith. The rest of y'all, But listen, you know me, I don't spend a lot of time on what's happening up at Washington, D.C., because that's not what's important. Let's talk about what's going on in that state house, or rather, what's not going on in that state house. Teachers, you still didn't get no money. They didn't even do the one-time payment. Not even the one-time payment. You gets nothing again. Red Fed, what that mean? Y'all rallied, y'all came together, y'all did all that. They don't care. The supermajority in the state house is not worried about you. But they are worried about making sure we keep open all those toxic coal plants. They are worried about that. They are making sure those bills come out of committee. See, I tell y'all all the time, you can focus in on that noise at the top of the ticket, at the top of the federal level, but the bottom line is what's affecting you and impacting you is happening in that state house, because that's where the power is. You want clean air and clean water? Talk to the dude that introduced the bill that says you can't close coal plants. Even the industry understands that renewable energies are the way to go. But we have legislators who are trying to prop up a dying industry. What happened to your free market, dude? What happened to it? Where'd it go? Guess you ain't feeling that. But good thing we have people like Representative Robert Shackelford, who's working to make sure that insulin prices are leveled out. We had multiple bills that were introduced by several House Democrats who are trying to keep the cost of health care down. You've got Senator Eddie Melton, who is saying, listen, can we test the water in all of our schools to make sure that we're not giving our children lead in the water? There are real proposals that are happening, but of course, those bills are not getting heard. I mean, Senator Lannon explained this week that they had, of all the bills that the 10 senators introduced, only 12 were called to committee. This is why it's so important to pay attention to what's happening right here. Half of Indiana is not being heard. There's a supermajority in our state house, but half of Indiana is not being heard. You guys have got to get on board and find somebody to support. I'm going to give you a good idea, somebody to support. And she's coming on the show soon. And I don't normally do this plug like this, but I want y'all to understand how important this is. If you don't know Amy Rivera Cole, she ran in District 37 2 years ago. She ran against Todd Houston, who believes in next year he will be the Speaker of the House. Amy Rivera Cole received over 43% of the vote last time. 43% of the vote in 2018 without a whole lot of assistance. Y'all, I don't know about you guys. I don't wish harm on anybody. Because you know me, I'm about love. But yo, how cool would it be if Todd Houston woke up in November, he went to bed thinking he's going to be the House Speaker, and he woke up the next day and he didn't even have a job? That would make my heart feel good. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but y'all find Amy Rivera Cole, because Todd Houston will only continue the nonsense that Brian Bosma's been spewing for the last 20 years, 30 years. We got to make some changes in that state house. Find you a candidate to support. And if you don't know any, Amy Rivera Cole, District 37. She's running against Todd Houston, who seems to think he should be the next Speaker of the House. And let's get her a win. All right, y'all. That's all I got, because we're going to keep this positive. We're going to keep it light, keep it lovely. And this is going to be the most diverse show that I've had. I love that, because see, that's who we are as Democrats. There was an article that came out today that talked about how undiverse the state house is. But turn left, we got it covered, baby. Y'all, welcome to my show, current and soon retiring Marion County Treasurer, the first Latina elected to an executive office in the state of Indiana. Y'all give it up to our guest, Claudia Fuentes. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here. You promised me on the show a long time ago, but you're so booked up, have so many people, and you were like, I don't know what month it was, maybe March, and you're like, I have to have you on my show, but I'm booked up through October. It's like, really? But I'm here now.
She's here.
I'm so excited to be here today.
I'm happy to have you, because I don't think people really know you, and I want them to know you, because I know you're going to run for something else again. And they didn't, we need, yes.
I'm not denying that, because I never thought that I would run for office, so.
Yes. And
there's a great possibility that I would. I'm young.
You're very young, yes. Very young. And so we'll figure that out as we go along, and we'll push you in the right direction. Right.
I have a lot of years ahead of me, and I think that you're right. Probably political office will be in my future.
Excellent. And then, okay, look, y'all. This is a city-county building love affair also, because I work for the surveyor. We have the Marion County Treasurer, and we have the recently left us city controller, who is also, I always forget your district, Senate District
30.
Yes. Fady Qaddoura. Did I say that right?
So you didn't say it fully correctly, and let me maybe share a lame joke that will make it much easier for you to remember.
Okay.
When I joined the city, a few of my colleagues said, for God's sake, how do you say this thing? And I said, listen, it is Fady, and it rhymes with daddy. So for 4 years, my colleagues were calling me Big Daddy Fady. So that's the easiest way. It rhymes with it. It makes it easy to remember. But listen, Mayor Buttigieg and President Obama. So I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one with that unique name.
You are not. Welcome to Turn Left. I am so glad you're here, because you know what? Being a city controller, I had to beg you for a lot of money. You always told me no.
Well, that's an excellent segue into why I'm running for the Indiana State Senate. Because as you know, most of the cash that we receive is regulated by formulas and laws that are legislated at the State Senate and the State House.
Yes, I do.
So now that we understand that many things can be fixed, Indiana deserves better. And if we have the competency and the qualifications for people to run for State Senate and for the House, we can change things so that not only you, but our citizens in District 30, in Indianapolis, and across the state of Indiana can feel prosperity in every single zip code.
Well, you know what? We're just kicking this show off with a bang. All right, I'm gonna start with you, Miss Claudia. Ladies first. Ladies first. Tell the people who you are, where you come from.
Where I come from.
Yeah. How a Latinx woman become the Marion County treasurer? Come on, tell her your story.
So I'm Claudia Fuentes,
Claudia Fuentes.
but I'm really Claudia Ontiveros Fuentes.
Hey.
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it.
I love it.
Ebonics, I got that. No, go ahead.
I was born in Northwest Indiana. I'm from East Chicago, Indiana. I
Okay,
was born and
the
raised
region?
there. The region, Lake County. But I've lived in Indianapolis for the last 21 years. My parents are both Mexican. Naturalized citizens now, but so
Okay.
I am Latina, like you said,
Yeah.
Mexican American.
Mexican American. Okay. Okay.
Speak
Keep talking.
fluent Spanish.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you went to public schools, I assume?
I went to public schools in the city of East Chicago.
That's
Yeah.
what's up. So where'd you go to college?
I went to Indiana University, Bloomington.
Okay, another IU. IU just be running around my house like what?
And I got my master's at Butler.
Okay.
Butler
Oh,
University.
wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I did that part-time at night.
Okay. So what was there something in your youth that made you say I want to go into politics, or was it something that somebody said, "No, you doing
Oh
this"?
gosh, I never expected to go into politics. I studied business. Finance was my undergrad major. I did international studies, studied abroad, and never thought that I would end up in government. But government was my first job out of college. And
Okay.
I worked for the state. I worked for county. 21 years. 21
Wow.
years in local and state government.
Wow.
Yes, I worked at the Department of Commerce, which later became the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
Okay.
Started off as a financial analyst, a senior analyst, a tax incentives manager. When I left there, I was appointed deputy auditor of the county. So Billy Bro, after she was elected and flipped that seat, she put her team together, and I was one of her deputy picks.
Okay.
And so I served as deputy auditor for 5 years before I actually ran for treasurer.
That's hot. Well, the Bros have always been, because they represent me in the district that I'm in. Well, Jean does, but yes, I love the Bros. They are amazing women who continue to uplift other women.
Yes, absolutely. Jean was a friend of mine. We worked together at Department of Commerce, but, once I went to go work for her mom, the relationship was just built. It's 5 years of mentorship. There was a couple times she probably scratched her head and thought, what the heck is going on with this girl?
Oh, I know Deb does that all the time. I know Deb Jenkins be like,
well,
what's
it was
really
difficult
going on?
times. It was difficult times. It was reassessment in the county.
Okay.
And just from one day to the next, it was like redo all of the assessments. Tax bills were behind, and we had to put together all of this new data and information all at the same time that we were, you would appreciate this, transferring from an old mainframe system to a brand new computer system.
Yes, I would like
And
that.
so we were programming that and putting the data together for that and putting parameters and everything else that goes along with that very lengthy process. So it was a difficult time. And
Right.
so
Right.
a lot learned though.
So so did somebody have to ask you to run, or did you decide to go ahead and run?
I think I was encouraged. I'm going to use the word encouraged.
Okay.
I was encouraged a lot to go ahead and take that step forward. Consider running for county auditor. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Not for me. I'm not sure. Looking at my predecessor, she had a full career in the Senate. And she retired from the Senate and ran for auditor. And I thought, no way that I could follow in this woman's footstep and think that I was ready. But sometimes other people see in you what you don't see in yourself. Sometimes you hold yourself back. And I can definitely said that I was in my own way. I don't like to say that I'm insecure because I don't think that's really who I am.
Lord, no.
But
No, don't ever use insecure.
right. So I don't want to use that as the right reference for me. But there was that. I need it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the first Latina to actually run for office, use my, I was a Fuentes, run on that name countywide, executive office, There were other Latinas that did, I must say, there were other Latinas that did win countywide in the legislative, in the council, I think, both on the Republican and the Democrat side, I think. I know definitely on the Democrat side. I think I heard on the Republican side as well. That were successful.
Yeah.
No. Females.
Okay.
Females
Okay.
with Latino last names.
Okay.
But, I come from Lake County, and there had been, I think the sheriffs and, I think the sheriff's office had been the only one that had a Latino elected countywide, so it would have been sheriff's office there. But there had been no females in Lake County either to win an office of that sort. So I actually made history. I was the first Latina elected as county treasurer in state history, as well as I was the first Latina elected to countywide executive office in state history. So a lot of firsts in that. And that wasn't just in 2012. That was in 16 as well, because there hasn't been anyone since my election.
Right.
And unfortunately, when I leave office,
That'll
there's
be
no
it.
one, there isn't another gal out there yet. And so that does make me sad.
Well, I keep egging on this young lady named Vanessa Aguilera.
Love her.
I keep
Shout
egging
out.
her on, Vanessa Aguilera, but she's like, yeah, no, stop asking. That's a pretty cool story. And you know what? That history is important because, you know, people believe it when they see it. And here you are, you've done it, you've laid the ground roots. Unfortunately, your office is term limited, and there's a couple of candidates that are running right now. And everyone knows who I've endorsed. Everyone knows who I've endorsed, which is who works in your office right now. Tell us a little bit about Josh.
Gosh. You know, I've been in government for 21 years. Yeah, the same. And I don't want to say it in these terms, but not that many people impress me. They're, limited number out there, and he falls in that category.
Yeah.
You know, when he joined my team, he was leaving the county party at the time. And I said, you have a real estate license. I need you on my team. I always have somebody on the team with a real estate license. We do sell property, so, need that.
Okay.
And I said, I can keep you busy for a while. Come on, I need your help. And took a little convincing, and he came on. Probably within a week, he was just like, I love this office. I didn't realize the magnitude that you all, to the magnitude that we affect citizens, that we provide service. And he said just so many people coming into the office all the time and needing help and needing assistance. And not just assistance in English, not just assistance where, people have access to the internet and know what's happening and can pay online and all that other stuff. Just the needs that were happening. And he just loved it. He loved it. And I was so glad that he wanted to stay. Promoted him to management position. And then when the opportunity came, deputy treasurer of operations. I think you remember when I was reorganizing my office and that opportunity happened. And I have not been sorry about that. I absolutely love that he joined my team.
That's what's up. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Fady, because I know you're getting lonely over there.
Sorry.
I'm not lonely. I'm enjoying listening
Right,
to the story.
exactly. That's what we want. We want people to fall in love with who we are as Democrats. Fady, tell the people where you are, where you come from.
So I'm a proud American citizen, but I was born overseas. I was born in Jerusalem, actually.
Okay.
I'm 39. I spent 19 years of my life overseas, 20 years in the United States.
You're a baby. Oh.
I share my age, not because I want to share my age, but to tell you that I spent more time in the United States than I spent overseas. And I'm Hoosier by choice. I love our state and I love our people.
Yeah.
But my story is the story of the American dream. Was born and raised in poverty. Worked extremely hard in middle school. Worked in construction, pushing carts in the market. Working hard to help and support my family, and also to pursue education that can lift me up and lift my family up from poverty. Couple of unique, events in my life that impacted my views on the world. One was in New Orleans, Louisiana, where I pursued my bachelor's and master's. My wife and I, with our 3 weeks old baby, in 2005, we became homeless after Hurricane Katrina. And that was a significant event in our life that put things back in perspective of what matters most. When you live through poverty and homelessness and challenges, you can't forget about that experience.
Right.
And you cannot forget the experience when people who were strangers to us, people of kind hearts who approached us with a single question. It wasn't what's your political ideology, where you're from, how much money do you have, or what is your education level. A single question: are you hungry? And the answer was yes. And we received that meal for that one day. And so it was humbling. It was humbling to understand that all of us, despite the fact that we work hard and we work smart, sometimes in life you need someone to lean on.
Say it again.
And I can tell you that I want to pay it forward, and I want others to lean on me. And I was humbled by the experience for someone to say, I will help you, and I love you, and I respect you, and I dignify you as a human being, regardless of who you are, regardless of your unique name, regardless where you came from. And that's what I dream about Indiana, that is more loving, compassionate, that every human is respected and treated equally.
Absolutely.
So these are the experiences that shape my worldviews.
That
It's the heart of a true public
okay.
servant.
Look, we all like. I'm over here stumbling with my words. Y'all know I don't stumble on my words.
Never.
I think never. I'm actually speechless. I know it's crazy. I love this story, and I didn't know this about you, so I'm hearing it for the first time, like everybody else. And I have so many questions that come from your experience with Katrina, because that was a bad chick right there.
Yeah.
That chick just kind of just blew everything out of the water, literally. So even though you had you leave Louisiana, you relocate here to Indiana.
No, we went to Houston, Texas. We rebuilt for 5 years. I was a stay-at-home dad. My wife was a teacher at a local school.
Wife is a teacher.
And basically, I volunteered with nonprofit organizations. And I was employed for 18 months at the University of Texas Medical School. But one day I woke up after 25 years of challenging experiences, from poverty to the immigrant story to working hard every single day, seeing people who were impacted negatively by injustices in our society. I woke up one day and I told my wife, this is not for me.
Right.
I still love computer science. I still love what I did for living, but I felt that I have a higher purpose and a higher calling.
Okay.
And to me, that was, how can I go and serve somebody else, make someone else's life, a little bit better.
And see, I think that's who we are as Democrats. And sometimes I get a little frustrated when, even those of us in our party don't conduct ourselves in that way. We can always point at the other people and say, look what you did, look what they're, and then you have to look in the mirror and go, dang, some of my people ain't acting right. But that's the story of who we are as Democrats. We know that we can go out and make money. All three of us, there's probably 7, 8 degrees sitting in this room right here.
Probably a few more. I think he might have 5 of them alone.
You got 5?
More.
I have 2 master's degrees, one in public administration policy and nonprofit management, a PhD, and public policy.
You have a PhD?
I wanted to research questions at a deeper level to understand society.
Okay, so dog, let me say this to you. I'm just gonna come at you straight up.
There goes 4.
I
got 2. That's 6. And how many do you have?
I got
you
3.
got like 5.
No. I just have 3. I just have 3. In all the years that I have known you, I would have never assumed that you were Dr. Fady. And the reason why I say that is because you are not pretentious by one fiber of your being. You're incredibly approachable, because we all work in the city county building, and when we met, I was a business services consultant in the ISA department.
I remember.
And I'm like, it was a new administration. Those of us, because I had just ran my race. No, it was in 15. So you came in 16. Right, and I was running my race in 16. But still, when you're talking about the controller, you like, that's the dude right there. You know what I'm saying? That's like running into the CFO of your business, right?
So I'm the one that collects all the money. So everybody thinks she's the lady with all the money, but he controls how it's spent.
Exactly, the controller. But you have never once come across pretentious. You have been warm and inviting every time we have talked. I would have never known you had a PhD until I keep talking.
Well, I can tell you this. Deep inside, I firmly believe that the lowest level of leadership that exists on earth is what we call positional leadership. Because you have a title, then you get the right to tell people what to do. That's the lowest and the weakest level of leadership. Maybe you can tell someone what to do because they report to you, but you will never earn their respect.
That's right.
The second and higher level of leadership is inspirational leadership. Dana does something good, I get inspired to do it. The third level is empowerment leadership, that you teach me the tools, you give me the tools, you give me the ability to do something good, and then I can teach it to a generation of people, and now we're moving everyone along. But the highest level of leadership that I firmly believe in is what is called duplicative leadership. Is that how can I give the best of who I am to somebody else to be better than me? And pay attention to this, because people will question, why should I give the best of who I am as a person to somebody else to be better than me? And I use the example or the analogy of, for those who have kids or pets or whoever, ones that you love unconditionally. Even at times if they disappoint you, you continue to invest in them because you firmly believe in that.
Yep.
And if we treat society the same way that every human that you see, Dr. King used to say that he contemplated hate, but it was so much of a burden to carry.
Mm-hmm.
So he chose love. And I can tell you, you can go to sleep every night with the comfort of mind and heart to know I spent a day serving others. I will tell you very boldly, I'm not running for the Indiana State Senate District 30 to earn the title state senator. I'm not interested in accumulating titles and touting that, I got elected. But I feel that the stakes are extremely high for the people that I love. And I know that they deserve better treatment. I know we can do better.
Boss, real talk though, right now we only have 10 in the Senate as Democrats. And as I mentioned, Senator Lannon already said, each senator gets to introduce 8 to 10 bills in a short session, and only 12 of those bills were actually called to committee. When you are elected, how are you going to, and you become the 11th, because we're going to win all of our other seats, right? When you become the 11th, how are you going to navigate an environment that says, essentially, we really don't even want to hear what you're talking about?
So I have 2 points to share on this one. I think my win is not only getting elected to serve the people of Indiana, but if I'm blessed to have, roughly speaking, 9 months to speak with Hoosiers about what we stand for. To me, that's a generational win. If we can change minds and hearts, then we can change our state. Elections come and go, candidates come and go.
Yes, they do.
But if we change the mindset to think, in a compassionate way, in a loving way, that we are better as one community, Republicans and Democrats, independents, and everybody in between. At the end of the day, we share this earth, and we must live together and love one another.
I agree.
And the second point on just the idea of the 11th senator, I think one of my role models is Dr. King. And Dr. King lost his life serving our community, standing up for what is right, standing up for justice at a time when it was not a popular position. Rosa Parks, when she got tired, she stood up by sitting. I
was with you.
So
I
the
knew where
point
you were
is,
going.
when we get tired,
My shirt says
here
nah.
you go.
Nah, I ain't getting that.
When we get tired, we stand up for what we believe in. There's no switch that you turn on and all of a sudden you go from 10 senators to 25 or 26.
Sure.
Someone has to sacrifice and say, I will stand up for what we believe in, and we're going to create a path for many generations to come. Because if we don't do this, here's what's going to happen. Many young people will lose hope and will grow up in an environment to think this is the norm.
Yeah.
It is normal to live
normal.
under gerrymandered, unfair maps.
Yeah.
If that happened in a third world country, that someone got elected based on rigged maps, in the United States, we call that political corruption.
Oh, he called y'all out.
So I think, I have to speak from the heart, from the mind about what we believe in and stand up for what we believe in.
And that's what is so important. I tell people when they come on the show, that's what I want. I want this show to be about who we are as Democrats, not just the politician, but the humans behind it. Claudia, when you were, serving for the last 8 years, you had an opportunity to be a voice. Talk about some of the things you were able to do in the communities, especially in our Latinx communities, which, I am trying, and I'm working with Elise Schrock. That is my new super shero right now. We're trying to do some more caucus events where we bring the Latino community, the African American community, the Stonewall community, all together to bring our caucuses together. Talk about some of the things that you've been doing as a leader, not only as an elected official, but in the Latinx community to bring more Latinos to the table.
That's a really difficult question to answer. There's just so much that's gone on over the years.
We got time.
But let's just start with
let's
just start with having a Latino name on the ballot to begin with.
Yes.
Having, hey, yes, I want to go out and I want to vote because I want to vote for her, and making sure that they're voting for everyone else, down ballot, up ballot, whatever it was, right? Mm-hmm. Giving people an option or hope that, there are Latinos out there in government, that there are others. Obviously, when I started this path, there was hardly anybody in government. Right. And that was probably some of my probably initial stages of working with others, that I was by myself in government and leadership roles and, and higher management positions, at the state, at the county level as well. I worked with others, really important people, really people that you love, that I love. Henry Fernandez.
Hello.
When you say Elise, she's head and president of INLDC, so the Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus. That was, Henry was working on that initially, and we're going back at least 10 years. We got a seat at the table at the Indiana Democratic Party.
Yes.
And I was the first one of that group to serve. So, I think I'm on my third rotation now back at the State Central Committee.
And I'm glad you keep showing up, though. Because, some people they do the work and they go, oh, I'm done. I don't have to contribute no more. My work is done here. But you keep showing up.
Well, just still continuing to be a part of the caucus, being able to work with the group. So Elise is young, energetic, ready to do some more work for us. But, things that I've done over the years, voter registration at the radio station, coming out, we're here, we can help you, we can help fill this out, being in front of the supermarket, being at the doctor's offices, okay?
Yes.
I've had Latino doctors who said, come sit here on Saturday and register people.
Wow.
And we would be sitting there registering people.
We're going to do that again. We're going to do that again.
Sure.
And the census, I haven't even talked about it today, but that is so important. And I know that there's a sense of unease in the Latino community when it comes to the census. How do we, I don't know, and I don't pretend to know, how do we put the Latino, our brothers and sisters at ease and say, no, we need to count you. We need to include you so that we can get the funding and make sure our schools are funded and all that good stuff.
I know you want the magic answer.
I know.
I know you want the magic answer. There are national organizations that are working on this and spending millions, spending dollars on doing this. And, but they focus their attention on California, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, the Florida,
but Latinos
New York,
make up almost 8% of our population in our state.
I know.
And even higher in Marion
But
County.
those national organizations are focusing their attention on the Southwest, other places. So I get to attend some of those things and go to some of those conferences, and I listen in, and I'm hearing all these things, and they say, Latino children between the ages of 1 and 5 are the least counted of all the populations.
Change that.
Right. We do. But how do we do that? How do we get people to trust?
I don't know. And I asked that question, but it's not like I haven't run into that myself. I struggle mightily to find more African American lesbians to be involved in this political process. It's like, no, I don't want to be the only one.
I get it. I'm Latina, so I'm supposed to have the magic answer to everything. But the truth is that I have a bachelor's and a master's in finance. I'm a finance girl. I'm a tax girl. But I'm supposed to have all the answers to education,
Well,
and I try to educate myself.
Well, I wouldn't even suggest that you have the answers. What I would ask more is, what are the concerns that we should be addressing so that when we walk into the communities, we are better allies.
Sure.
Yeah, because the Latino
I hate
community
to say,
is so diverse.
It's not even just being diverse. It's just a matter of actually people taking the time and trusting you to be able to talk to you. Sure, I'll get my foot in the door talk to somebody in Spanish right away and be able to relate and understand someone and know who they are and where they came from. And but Fady's story that he gave earlier, he can relate exactly like the rest of the people in the community, just the same.
Exactly.
But is there a magic answer?
No, there's not.
I'm not sure that there is.
So we just have to keep trying.
We just have to keep trying. We just can't give up.
Can't give up.
Can't give up. We got to keep trying. The radio stations, the television stations, and there are so many community activists in this city that put so much heart and effort into it, and they keep going. They don't just do it for one year and then they drop off the face of the earth. That's not who they are, and that's not what they do, and that's not how they've done things over the years. But they are out there and they are working at it.
See,
can I add something to this?
Absolutely.
So I think we're celebrating the Black History Month, and it is critical to remember the key themes over here that connect the United States Census with voter rights.
Absolutely.
Our brothers and sisters in the Black American community for decades, especially since the Civil Rights Movement. I mean, the struggle has been going on for over 400 years.
Come on.
But especially I go back to the Civil Rights Movement era.
Some people don't know. They think it's over.
Well, I still teach part-time at IUPUI, and I asked my students a question. I said, do you think that good ideas last throughout history? Can good ideas be transferred from one generation to the next? And they paused for a second, and someone might shout an idea, and I said they struggle with it. I said, well, let me ask you this. For example, the Bible, great idea. Did it last multiple generations? They said yes. And then I challenged them by asking them the opposite of that question. Do bad ideas last through multiple generations? So for those who claim that injustice took place at, a few centuries ago and it no longer exists, that's wrong, because there are certain behaviors, practices, and ideas that get passed from one generation to the next. So connecting the United States Census with the idea of voter rights, I think for so long, many politicians and individuals who are in public service to serve themselves or to, for political reasons, or they think politics is a sports rather than a noble profession to serve the public, they will do everything and anything to select their voters instead of what our democracy tells us, that voters select their elected officials. And Dr. King and others lost their lives to fight for...
Made the ultimate sacrifice.
For us to be able to go to the ballot box and to cast a vote and say, my vote counts as a citizen. So if we compromise and we don't push aggressively to get everyone to participate in the United Census process, I think what is at stake for the next at least decade with the unfair map, or the chance that unfair maps will be drawn. And I'm not sure if you've been following, I know that you, but to our audience, I truly encourage you to go and look at the recent legislation that has been introduced over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. With supermajorities, that legislation to come up with fair districts, an independent commission that can draw fair maps, have been shut down and voted down year after year. And listen to this, I want you to be very smart, because it's not just about the elections. There are legislators who will come back to your district, including my district, and that's why I'm running for public office, they will tell us, listen, I've introduced legislation to address this problem. But you have to understand how they operate. The supermajorities are willing to sacrifice one single vote out of their caucus, out of their group, to go back to the community and say, I've introduced good legislation for you.
I tried, Joe Torre. I tried.
So I think
Brian Bosman, I tried.
It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. If you're a patriot, if you believe in our democracy, if you believe in the future of our country, if you believe in decency and fairness, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. We must stop gerrymandering.
Oh, hold up. Pie in the sky, unicorn, leprechaun, pots of gold, and all this so happy dappy stuff. What you talking about? We just witnessed our Senate take our Constitution, cut it up into little strips, put it on a roll, and hang it in the bathroom. We just witnessed this. We just watched this, y'all. Now listen, the three of us are sitting around saying it all makes sense to us. It's common sense to us. It's just a natural way of seeing and doing things, because we all understand what it is to be the other, right? We all understand what it is to be an other in this society. How do we convince our listeners, after watching that nonsense that we just saw in D.C., that what you just said is real? Because let's keep it real. You went there. Let's keep it real.
And I'll be respectful of Claudia's opinions on this.
Go right
but here's what I will tell you. Listen, the alternative to standing up is basically being idle, and you only allow injustice and corruption to grow.
Hello.
So someone has to sacrifice. Communities have to take it seriously, and we have to carry that mission and inform the public and educate them. I have no issues 100% if Democrats or Republicans were elected based on fair maps. If Indiana maps were drawn based on fair maps and the public decided to vote 80% Republican based on fair maps, I will challenge the thoughts about, challenge any policies that do not benefit our people. And if you're a Democrat and you gerrymander districts, I can't speak from both sides of my mouth on this issue, so I'm consistent.
Same thing, honey, same thing.
So what happened is the following, is that for the next 10 years, if we don't take this issue seriously as citizens, that's why I know that we're turning left and we're speaking to fellow Democrats.
Yes, we are.
But
Always.
what makes us thoughtful is that we genuinely, your show is about love. And if we're genuinely in the business of loving humanity, then we're doing it for the sake of every child, of every person in our community, including those who might not understand the impact of supporting gerrymandering.
See, I remember having that conversation with a buddy of mine, and it's like I wanna serve the people who don't even like me. I want to serve the people who see me and turn their nose up at me, because I know that the policies that I would introduce are going to be better for them than the policies that the people they're voting for.
Absolutely.
Jump in on that, Claudia. How do we keep it moving?
I don't know how we keep it moving, but I can say that I do that
You do
all
it all
day,
the time.
every day, you know.
What do you do? I mean, because you show up. Claudia, there are times. Listen, Feisty. I know who you are. Don't be trying to be cool now. You know,
You got me on live camera here.
Listen, I have been with you at the Latino Expo. I have listened to you. Come on, bring the funk, baby.
You know, I'm going to tone it down.
Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and tone it down.
Y'all missing the
I'm
good
going to
stuff.
talk.
I wish y'all could talk to people like I get to talk to people. Go ahead.
Look,
go ahead.
I'm the treasurer.
Yeah.
I bill, collect taxes, okay?
Yeah.
So there are multiple people who don't like me. But when it comes down to advocating in meetings, Treasurers Legislative Association of Indiana Counties, I've chaired their legislative committee for the last 3 years.
Wow.
When we're talking about policies that affect everyone, including those who have to pay taxes in my office, who probably didn't vote for me, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I have to advocate for them to make things fair for them, that their taxes are fair, that if they fall behind in their taxes, that they have an opportunity to make that up, not lose their home, go along the way. There's just so much that I advocate on behalf of the actual taxpayer. In the State House as well, you know, I'm at the State House, I talk to the legislators, I tell them when they're trying to pass a bill that's going to affect people. I worry about everyone on that, in that aspect. And so I know that that's not an interesting topic for people.
Yes, it is. It's
not the social issues out there.
But it's real
But
talk.
it's what I know, and this is what I am equipped to do, right?
But see, and that's the thing. People, again, it's not always about the splashy headlines. In fact, it rarely is about the splashy headlines. It's usually about something that, if you're not a junkie like me when it comes to politics, you never heard of it. But the fact that you have somebody advocating for, you know, property taxes is huge. And here's why. I mentioned earlier in my rant that there were multiple bills out there about tenant rights. And I know property tax is about homeowners, and I'm jumping, but here's the deal. There was a bill that was introduced by a Republican, and I cannot think who it was, in the State House, that wanted to reduce the eviction time from 10 days to 3 days. So from the time that they gave you the eviction notice, right now it's 10 days. You have to do what you have to do, either get the money or find another place to live. What can you get done in 3 days if you're already struggling? And the fact that we have people who are in elected offices who care more about the people who are renting than the people who need a place to live. And there's no one actually advocating for the human that needs a place to have a roof over their head for their kids, for their spouses or their parents. Because if you're like me, you're probably taking care of kids and parents, right? I don't have any kids, and my parents are gone, but you know what I'm saying. The fact that you are saying that I'm in these spaces advocating for people and their taxes, there needs to be somebody that's advocating for renters' rights to make sure that there was another bill that was like it didn't pass, but they were saying that if you were evicted, you didn't even have a second chance to get a place to live. Now, what kind of insanity says, oh man, you messed up this year, you can never rent again? What? But this is what's happening because we don't have folks like y'all in our State House advocating for regular, everyday people. I'm going to create a people's lobbyist. A lobby. That's what we're going to do, a people lobby. But go ahead, jump in. You was about to say something.
I was just going to say, kind of like, over the years, what I've kind of noticed when things like that come up, you have to ask whether that senator, that state representative actually owns, like, rental properties.
Oh, probably.
That's the very first thing that you'll end up finding out. You ask, well, what's your career outside of your part-time Senate role or your House rep? And
usually,
you find that out often. You know, we find that out, and, you know.
Follow the money.
There's a lot of eye rolls in our meetings, and, you know, other county elected officials, we're all sitting down and we're reviewing these policies, and it's like, oh, beneficial to the person. Like, people realize that. They need to realize that we know.
We know. Oh, they don't care that we know. That's the thing.
Well, that's unfortunate.
They don't care that we know because we are not in a position to stop them. I mean, think about it. When gaming came to Indiana, oh, we want gaming, we want gaming. And it wasn't until the gaming industry has set up shop and the person that introduced the gaming legislation is now the head of the gaming lobby. Same thing with Sunday alcohol sales. There weren't no Sunday alcohol sales until the alcohol and the store people said, okay, legislators, you can sell alcohol on Sunday. Marijuana. Y'all want to legalize marijuana? It's coming. Don't worry. It's not coming as fast as you want. But as soon as the marijuana industry is set up shop in Indiana, they will legalize marijuana. It ain't going to have nothing to do with how much we protest and beg and blah, blah, blah. That's how it works in Indiana. I can't speak for Colorado, California, some of those places, but that's how it works in Indiana. You follow the money, I'm telling you, legalization of marijuana is coming. They just ain't set up shop yet. That's all.
Well, let me add a couple of thoughts
Sure.
in terms of.
I'm loving this conversation.
I have deep faith in Hoosiers to make the right decisions every day. We have 150 state legislators, regardless how many of them keep in mind the best interest of our people. We have 6.6 million people that have the power.
6.6 million.
That have the power to change things. When I was a city controller, we had unanimous votes on budgets, including the year where we had elections in 2019, almost unanimous votes between Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, except for Mike McClellan.
Well,
But he lost his seat.
But the point I'm trying to tell you is that you were talking about evictions, talking about the Renter Bill of Rights, and some people look at it ideologically. My experience working with Republicans and Democrats, we were able to bridge the gap in understanding.
Okay.
And here's one example of how we can bridge the gap. If folks are not interested in investing in solving problems because they have ideological differences to think that I don't want to help people in inner city America because they don't look like me, or why as a taxpayer should I be invested in helping somebody else? Not only is the moral thing to do to be invested in each other's success and destiny as humans, but also for those who only believe in business models and numbers.
Bring it to them.
You're paying for it anyways. If you send someone with mental health issues to jail, rather than send them to a healthcare solution, you're paying, roughly speaking, 80 cents on the dollar to keep someone in jail versus 0 to 13 cents on the dollar to send someone back home and community corrections or to healthcare corrections.
David was controller. He knows money.
So the point is, that delta of 70 cents, we can use it to help with education, improve quality of neighborhoods. If you evict someone unjustly and you throw them on the street and they have no resources, most likely their only solution would be to go and apply for public housing, to apply for Medicaid, to apply for other social welfare programs. And guess who pays for these programs? The taxpayers. So if we as a society invest in each other's well-being, as the saying goes, rising tides lift all boats.
Well, some people's boats got holes in them, dog.
Well,
let's be real. Some people ain't got a boat. They still standing on the shore going, I want to ride in your boat.
I'm extreme. Listen, your show is about love. I'm optimistic.
Okay.
I will maintain that view. I will maintain my view forever.
Oh, that's what's up.
A sinking boat becomes our responsibility to save.
Say it again.
We are living on the same ship. If you dig a hole in that ship, we all go down. And I can tell you, I refuse to be led or inspired by fear or intimidation. And I can tell you that our true win is when we show one another that if I invest in your future and your family is better and your children are living a better life and your loved ones are living a better life, then we win. I'll conclude on this.
Do you see this love just spewing out of me all of a sudden? Do y'all see that?
It's like Care Bears.
I see a crush forming.
Yes.
But seriously, I want you to reflect on this for a second. Do you think for a moment that the coronavirus or poverty or mental illness distinguishes between a Democrat or Republican, rich or poor, black or white, immigrant or citizen? It does not. So we can act, forgive the expression, in a foolish way to divide ourselves. That's what we're fighting in this country.
Yeah.
We're fighting division. We're fighting the looking at each other in the worldview of us versus them. And today, by me preaching about love and compassion, that might not be the popular view, but I committed for my race that that's what I stand for. And that's what I'm going to lead on. And we're going to show our people a better way of when we unite, we can do better.
And that is the message. That I like to egg people on a little bit, because I want to bring out who you are, right? But that really is the message. And the only way that we can really bring people together is to continue to talk about it. We know that there's a lot of misinformation being sent out. We recognize that people are being attacked for a lot of different reasons. But if we scream even louder about the love that we have for humanity and the love that we have for our fellow man, and I want to help you be better, because when I help you be better, we're all better.
Contagious.
We're all better. That is the message. And it does sound a little lame sometimes. But when I had a young lady, I did a post, I have usually lunchtime thoughts. And when my lunchtime thoughts have to come out, because if they don't come out, my head will explode. People sometimes get in there, they withdraw when things get tough, right? They withdraw and go, you know what? I'm throwing my hands up. I can't do this anymore. And I think our responsibility as leaders, and I say all of us are leaders in our own way. Each of us has something unique about who we are that makes us a leader. It is our responsibility to say, nah, can't stop now. I like the Harriet Tubman approach. She just take out a 6-shooter and say, keep going. You're not going back. But our goal is to inspire others to say, okay, yes, sometimes these things happen, but we still have to keep fighting, right? We are not done fighting for children in cages. We're not done with that. We may not be talking about it every day, but there are people out there still fighting every day, trying to reunite small children with their families. We are not done fighting for our teachers and public education. We're not done. We're not done fighting about that, for that. And there's so many other issues. Katrina literally brought to my mind climate change, which we haven't even dove into that just yet. I've touched on the coal plants and all that. But there are so many things that we have to work on. And the only way that we're going to accomplish what we need to accomplish is if our hearts are in the right place.
We as a state, unfortunately, and I say it with a heavy heart, we rank in the bottom 10 across the United States on quality of water and air. And, you might disagree, not you personally, but some of our viewers or citizens in Indiana or Hoosiers, that they might disagree about the scientific facts about climate change. But regardless whether or not you agree with us, look at the consequences and the impact.
Absolutely.
When your water is not, drinkable, or you can't consume certain products, or the air that we consume is not safe for us to breathe, it impacts all of us.
All of us.
So I think, I want to give a shout out to my beloved teachers across the state of Indiana. I'm running for Senate District 30. My daughters go to public school. Both public schools in Washington Township and IPS.
I'm a product of Washington Township.
So I want to give a shout out to my beloved teachers and parents and students and young folks in our community. These are, our kids are our future.
Absolutely.
And their future shouldn't be determined by which zip code they live in.
Come on.
And while the streets that we drive on, everybody's going to drive on it.
Yep.
The air that we consume, the water that we drink, the education that we receive. So we either can work with one another and improve all that for all of us, or waste years, and with every year that we waste in investing in public education and investing in our teachers, we lose every year. We lose a generation. We miss a generation.
Yes. Listen, I don't know if you guys have ever read White Fragility or not, but it is a powerful, powerful book. And in the book, they talk about the story of Brown v. Board of Education and the impact that ruling had on communities that did not want to desegregate, to the point where they literally shut down school systems, right? Shut down school systems and gave vouchers to white parents so that their kids could go to private schools, but the black kids didn't have any place to go. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because this happened in the middle of our space race. This happened in the middle of when we were trying to compete with the Soviets to get people in space and to the moon and everything else. And it wasn't until 2014 that we graduated a doctor in astrophysics who was African American. Because we lost a whole generation of resources, which are people that we decided we weren't going to educate. Think about how many astrophysicists were missed because they didn't get to go to school for 2, 3, 4 years. We're not saying for a semester schools were shut down. We're talking years. And if we don't make the proper investment, as a nation, right? Sputnik got up there before we did. And if we continue to do that, we will continue to fall behind as a nation. If we do not nurture and water our resources, which are our humans and the people that are on this planet, we're going to lag behind. The United States, you can say you're the greatest, but the data says something else if you don't educate your people.
We're the greatest nation on earth, but we have a lot of potential, and we didn't reach our potential.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
That's the thing. And the work that we have to do is about how do we make each other better.
That's true.
All right. So our hour is just about up.
Wow.
I told you it's going to be fun, right?
It's fun.
Okay. So, Claudia, I know you're not running. And this is the time.
This year.
This year. And I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, what are you running for? I'm not going to do that to you. I wouldn't do that. But is there anyone that you want? There's a lot going on in this primary season and general election. Is there anyone that you want us to be aware of, that you want us to find out about and learn about, that we can vote for?
Other candidates out there?
Yeah.
Besides my deputy treasurer of operations?
Josh.
Go Josh Peters.
That's right. He's my, I married him and Eddie.
I know.
Isn't
that wonderful?
I was the officiant. Yes. Okay. I was nervous as heck when he asked me, because I was like, no, man. And then I thought, oh, wait, they probably thought long and hard about that.
Yeah.
So, it was an honor. But anyway, Josh Peters.
And the way he critically thinks and analyzes everything,
yes.
He really
okay, so
did.
you want us to, okay, so Josh Peters, Peters for treasurer, and I know he's on Facebook, social media, y'all find him.
And I'm starting to find out that there's a couple Latinos running for different offices throughout the state. I don't have
Absolutely.
names right here with me.
I have Carlos and Pablo coming on before the primary. They're both from Fort Wayne. One is running for District 3, Congress in District 3. And another one is running for a House seat, and I can't remember them all, but I met them when I went up to Fort Wayne.
Well, if you hear of anybody that's running for a countywide elected office,
here in
let
Marion
me
County,
know. Well, outside of Marion County.
All right.
Hopefully there will be another Latina out there.
Well, see, and there it is. If you know some folks who are in the Latino community who want to run for office, get them hooked up with Claudia Fuentes, because she will make sure that she guides them in the right direction and gives them the tools that they need. All right, tell the people where they can find you, Fady.
Fady for Indiana, FADY 4 Indiana.com. I believe in you. I'm running to serve you. And I promise that I will work hard, extremely hard, every single day, and will never take your support for granted. If you believe in our future, if you believe in our state, if you believe in the power of love and compassion, and that as one United States we can make a difference, please vote for me, support my campaign financially and by volunteering, and let's turn 2020 into a positive year that we all believe in, to make Indiana the best state in the United States.
There it is. I mean, listen, if we want to make change, we got to get out and help some people. So sign up to knock on doors, to make phone calls, to host fundraisers, have a fundraiser at your house for him, so because he's going to need the money. I listen, I wish...
Grassroots money.
I wish it wasn't like that, but he's going to need the help, right? He's going to need some help. And his district is a 50-50 district, so we can flip that district. All we have to do is support him and make sure that he knows that we as Democrats, we got his back, and he's going to have
And we have
ours.
the right candidate for that district.
Exactly.
Absolutely. He's the right candidate for that
Absolutely.
district.
Listen, anybody that lives in that district...
He just needs the dollars. That's what
Right, yeah.
What you were talking about.
My thing is this. Anybody that lives in the district is the right candidate for that district. I remember running against Brian Bosman, and I had the struggles of, being the cross-dressing, dreadlock lesbian running against the 30-year incumbent, but I didn't care because I lived in that district.
But we had a good time in 2016.
We
were on the ticket together.
We did.
Yes.
And I learned so much. All right. Fady talked about earlier, this is Black History Month. Did you think Indiana Zone was going to go the first Thursday in February and not talk about Black history? Come on now. Y'all know better than that. What's my last name? Black. Yes. Okay. Just in case y'all wasn't sure. And the reason why my message on the first Thursday of Black History Month is going to be a little bit of an abstract to give you something to think about. And that is, we know historically a lot of the ills that have happened to the African American community. A lot of our stories were told to us at the kitchen table. Again, and I've shared this story before. My first learning of Emmett Till, I was no more than 6 or 7 years old. So this was like 1976, 1977, when my father, who was in my estimation was the greatest man walking the planet. You know, I didn't realize when I was 5 or 6 that he wasn't very tall, but you know, he was a giant to me. And he was telling me how afraid he was because my mother originally was from Mississippi, and how scared he was to go to Mississippi because of the story of Emmett Till. And to see this man who I thought was a rock and was my Superman break down in tears, talking about how afraid he was of Emmett Till. See, those are stories some of our brothers and sisters in our nation, those are the stories you didn't get. You may have read about a blurb in a history book, and if it came from Texas, ain't no telling what it said, right? There's a blurb about it. And often when we talk about Black history, the only people that we tout are the civil rights leaders or the people who were fighting oppression. You know, basically what's saying that our greatness is only because we were oppressed and we knew how to fight it. That's not our greatness, y'all. We are full of scientists and doctors and lawyers and change makers and change makers. It's not just about our oppression and those that rose from being oppressed that made them great. We were a great people before we were enslaved. We were a great people when we were enslaved. We were great people when we were living through Jim Crow. But what all those experiences gave us was the opportunity to see the world from a much more holistic point of view. See, one of the things that I learned was that my condition in the United States is just a United States condition. But once you look outside of the United States, you see, well, shoot, Idi Amin was horrible. That was a horrible brother. And you find out what the Japanese did to the Chinese during the World War II and how horrible that was. And then you learn about what Europeans did when they went down to Australia and how they, again, tried to make the Aboriginal people assimilate to European ways. You understand it's not just a black and white issue, it's a human condition. It's a human condition. But when we don't share the stories, when we don't share the stories about Black Wall Street, when we don't share the stories about what happened in Marion and the hanging and the lynchings, and the fact that we had to pass legislation to say, stop lynching people. we had to have legislation to say, look, y'all know lynching people ain't cool. We should probably stop that. But having those stories inside of us gives us the hope and determination to know that what we're going through right now is not the end of the world. I told y'all in 2016 when the orange dude became president that this is not the worst America has been through. And I know over the course of the last week, it feels like everything is just falling down around you. I'm telling you, it's not. My mother had to pick cotton. And they used to tell stories about how my mother, when she picked cotton, she would pick it from 2 owls. She was so bad. 5'3", $110. I'm not kidding. But even when she did all that hard work, she would take the bales, the cotton she picked, and they would still shortchange her. Didn't matter. She went out there and picked some more. Because it didn't matter how somebody else treated you. It was how she decided to rise up from that mistreatment. People, I need y'all to look deep inside yourselves. This is the time now where we get to show up. And during Black History Month, when we talk about all the great Black people and Black leaders, America, we produce that. We produce those great Black people. We produce those great Black events. Now it's time for us to create an event that is so spectacular that the rest of the world is going, damn, they're not as dumb as I thought they were. Real talk. It is time for us to dig deep within ourselves and stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Stop it. Stop feeling sorry for the fact that we made I didn't vote for him. The country made a poor decision in leadership. Stop feeling bad that in the State House there's some poor leadership. Stop feeling bad about that. Instead of feeling bad, go to work. Go to work. It does not change if you're sitting at home holding your blankie and your Winnie the Pooh bear talking about this all sucks. I'm going to need everybody to man up, woman up, find a candidate to support, donate some dollars. If you can't go knock on doors, make some phone calls. If you can't make phone calls, host an event. This is real talk, y'all. It is no longer time to sit back and hope and pray and wish that somebody else will make a change. You are the change maker.
Absolutely.
You are the change maker. You have to make it up in your mind that this is no longer how we want to exist, but we want to change things for the better. So as we acknowledge all the greatness that melanated people are, because we amazing. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, just kings, queens, and we glisten in the sun and just it's beautiful. It's Black History Month. But what you should take from Black History Month is the ability to rise from nothing. The ability to overcome adversity and still be amazing no matter what. Take that from Black history. All right, y'all. Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left. Thank you so much, guests, for joining us tonight. Y'all, I'm telling you, the show is packed until June. I am so super excited. Guests.
I told y'all.
We got guests because it's so important for everyone to know who is out there. If you live in a district and it's totally blue and the people are going to win no matter what, find somebody in a tougher district that you can help out because, again, flipping that state house is more important than anything else. We got to get rid of that supermajority if we want to see quality pay for our teachers, better education for our kids, a quality air and water, and making sure our infrastructure is taken care of, and all those things. By the way, make sure if you've not signed up and you want to volunteer, or not volunteer, get paid to be a census worker, please go online and do so, because we need those people to knock on doors as well. If you speak multiple languages, you know you a gem, so come on. All right, I will catch y'all next week. Please, everyone, have a safe and wonderful evening. I love y'all. Peace.